Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In today's episode, we are continuing our coverage this January 30th, 2022, of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. First and foremost, we'll jump right into some of the battlefield coverage of the ongoing fighting that is taking place, and we continue to get information and intelligence about further operations taking place inside of the Afar region. It would appear that the Tigrayan Defense Forces are really giving the Afar regional militias and various paramilitary groups that are operating just across the border in the Afar region real problems right now, and many units of these semi paramilitary units of the Afar regional militia groups and even their regional quote unquote special forces have suffered significant losses in some of the more recent operations within the last week by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. In fact, we're hearing reports that some of these regional entities in the Afar region, these paramilitary groups, are now somewhat upset at the Abiy loyalist formations for not coming to their aid. Obviously, they are providing a limited fixed wing assets, and was what originally started this operation by the TDF into the Afar region, because some of these groups were crossing into the Tigray region and providing intelligence on areas to strike to the Ethiopian National Defense Forces Air Force, and that is what has caused this recent operation by the TDF to enter the Afar region and put an end to some of these informal militia units operating in the Afar region. But again, apparently, the operation was so successful by the TDF that, again, they're asking now for direct ground support in the form of actual Abiy loyalist ground formations to come to their assistance. As we know, Bala has fallen to the Tigrayan Defense Forces. The TDF is in firm control of Abala, as now is the TDF in control of Berhale as well, and areas around Berhale as well. But again, one of the main reasons that the Ethiopian National Defense Forces is not committing extra forces and troops to the Afar region is because of the secret war that is taking place inside of the Oromia region. And again, as we know, the Oromo Liberation Army is very much active in the Oromia region, and from the recent fighting that has taken place south of the Tigray region, when the TDF launched that operation deep into the Amhara region, and then ongoing operations taking place between the Abiy loyalists and the Oromo Liberation Army, has really created heavy casualties and disorder within the Abiy loyalist formation. So again, a lot of the ground units of the Abiy loyalists, the federal forces, the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, quite literally are still recovering, in some cases reconsolidating, from some of the fighting that took place, especially near Debri Burhan, Kamise, Dese, Kambalcha, Weldia, and what have you. So again, these forces have not fully recovered, meaning the forces of the ENDF. And compounding that is the continued operations by the Oromo Liberation Army west and northwest of Addis Ababa, also known as Finfine. So again, if the Abiy loyalist formations had the capability and units to support the Afar regional forces, then in all likelihood they would deploy said forces into the Afar region. But unfortunately for the Abiy loyalist formations, again, they have suffered dire losses in the recent engagements with the TDF. And then compounding that, they continue to struggle against the Oromo Liberation Army as well. So again, it's not that the ENDF, the Abiy loyalists, do not have the desire. If they had the ability to enter the Afar region and back up some of these Afar regional fighters and possibly conduct an operation towards Mekelle and other areas, in all likelihood they would. It's just the capability currently is not there because of the security situation in other parts of the country. And again, this is one of the issues right now with media outlets. It's very, very difficult because of the media blackout in the former state of Ethiopia for reporters to get into some of these areas and document what is actually happening, especially in regards to the ongoing fighting between the Abiy loyalists and the Oromo Liberation Army. Again, there is some heavy, vicious fighting that is taking place. It's almost like a secret war at this point, and unfortunately, we continue to see the use of fixed-wing strike aircraft and even now drones targeting Oromo towns and villages west of Addis Ababa in efforts to put down this widespread rebellion by the Oromia region. And again, it's just not reported, it's not talked about, and information, unfortunately, is not getting out. But it would appear that the Abiy loyalist formations really have their hands full right now with what is happening in Western Oromia, and that is one of the reasons why we're not seeing additional forces being utilized against the Tigrayan Defense Forces, especially in the Afar region, and in some cases, the Western Tigray region. They've really left it upon the Amhara regional militia groups, regional forces, and the Eritrean army to operate predominantly in Western Tigray and the Afar area. But again, we have seen, we now know there are multiple training camps in the Afar region that is being run by the Eritrean army. And again, unfortunately for the Afar regional forces, that training and that support by the Eritrean army was not enough to prevent this most recent operation by the TDF from crossing into the Afar region and destroying some of these units that were based just across the border in the Afar region, the units of the Afar regional forces and paramilitary forces. Another issue as well that's not talked about very much is the casualties that was sustained by the Eritrean army in its operation in the Tigray region. So as we know, the Eritrean army did enter the Tigray region at one point, occupying an area from Adigrat all the way to Shire from east to west. And once the Tigray Defense Forces fully mobilized, the Eritrean army was engaged and suffered some horrendous casualties in the northern Tigray region, and then eventually were forced to withdraw from the Tigray region because of obviously Western media pressure and other news outlets such as this channel and others reporting the Eritrean army's invasion of the Tigray region and Abiy Ahmed's allowance of said forces to enter the Tigray region. But things did not go as planned for the Eritrean army because of the stifling resistance that was put up by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, which eventually caused the Eritrean army to flee back into Eritrea. Now, Eritrea does still occupy small areas in the Tigray region in terms of buffer zones, but we could be looking at some point here in the very near future, quite possibly a very large operation by the Tigrayan Defense Forces to further expel and quite possibly enter Eritrea at some point. Again, the Eritrean army continues to support external actors, or internal actors rather, such as the Afar regional militias that cross the border into the Tigray region and harries the Tigray region. And obviously, they also support certain elements of the Afar regional, the Amharan regional militias as well, that are operating in western Tigray. But as we know, the TDF is steadily infiltrating western Tigray, and is looking to retake western Tigray slowly but surely. And that operation is in fact continuing with more and more TDF units entering western Tigray almost daily to conduct operations against both the Amhara regional militias and the Eritrean army that is in western Tigray. And I wanted to go ahead and leave these entry points up that I have designated as possible areas for a Tigray Defense Force operation at some point into Eritrea that we could indeed be looking at some point. And then obviously I have marked the areas of the recent Afar security operation that was conducted by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And again, that operation appears to be very, very successful in terms of, and now again we are hearing that the Afar regional militias are requesting further assistance from the Abiy loyalist formations. But again, those forces of the Abiy loyalists, again, are really tied up fighting the Oromo Liberation Army, and it is not going well for the Abiy loyalist formations in Western Oromia. And that is one of the reasons why Abiy Ahmed recently took a trip to the UAE. He really needs assistance in what is happening in the Oromia region, but a lot of this is not being reported in terms of what is happening and just how large scale the fighting is in this Oromia rebellion that is taking place right now. But that is the news for today. We will certainly have more very, very soon. Have a good day, everybody.